Recording, we're on, you're live.
Alright, so yeah, like I was saying, it's a relatively generic pattern, but you know, it's nice to mix up those generics like those red-eyed damsels and the dragon patterns a bit, just to make it a little bit, your tying a little bit more interesting. So basically what we're using is this yarn, this Pro Dub yarn. It's just a thread that you would use for like normal like nymph bodies and that kind of stuff. And all we're going to do is take a bunch of it and twist it into a tail, and that just gives it a bit of a little bit of movement in the tail if you're fishing it a bit static. What you can do, what I haven't done on this particular one, and I won't do it now, but what you can do is maybe just add a little bit of super glue or something like that, just to stiffen it up till about kind of over there, just so it doesn't wrap. It does tend to wrap a little bit, so if you stiffen the tail up a bit, then you at least get this little back portion moving around, and then obviously with marabou, it's always got life in the water. Yeah, and that's basically that. Like I said, again, neutrally buoyant fly, so the eyes that we're going to be using are plastic eyes. If you can burn mono, nice heavy mono to get a nice big eye, that actually works a little bit better than the dumbbells. But for ease of tying, those little plastic dumbbells are quite nice to use. Right, should we crack on? The hooks generally that I use for these kind of flies are little short shank nymph hooks, like wet fly nymph hooks. You can use terrestrial style hooks or sort of midge pupa hooks. You just sometimes tend to find that those hooks might be a little bit light for bigger fish. When I first tied the fly, it was on quite a light hook just to keep the fly nice and small and light. But big fish eat it hard, and you'll open a lot of hooks. So you kind of got to get that balance between a sturdy enough hook and one that's not going to sink the fly too much. Right. So the hook that we use
Ejected itself. Find it.
Okay. So as with most flies that have sort of dumbbell eyes, just a little bit of thread to start off with. Come back and you can tie the eyes in, quite close to the front of the hook like we did the other fly. You want to get it right up there. If you look at the damsels and dragons and those kind of things, their eyes are literally on top of their mouths. So don't leave too much space between the eye and the eyes. You want to obviously have a little bit of space here to tie and a little bit of material, but for the most part, don't leave too much space in the front over there. So you're going to tie your eyes in on the top of the hook. It's just a couple of sort of cross wraps. And the nice thing about this fly is you kind of only have two real tying points. You're going to tie everything quite tight up into the eyes. That's why it's nice to use a nice short shank hook. All the body is going to be on the hook with that nice long tail just to give it a nice bit of movement. So that's nice and far up in the front there, level enough. Take your thread back a little bit. Right, so now we take our yarn, this dubbing yarn, take a little bit, and we're gonna twist it. So all you're doing is sort of twisting it in your finger like this, and then pulling it together, and it's going to roll on itself. Beat it onto itself quite a bit, and you can sort of roll the last little bit, and that's going to sort of give you your tail. Okay, so it's just a little twist to roll on, and it gives you a little loop. You'll see what we're going to use, that little loop at the little sort of end bit at the end there now. And you want it to sort of be, I'd say, depending on your hook shank, but like for instance this one, we can make it sort of twice the length of the hook shank to give it a nice long body. I don't know if you guys have ever seen damsels in the water. They've got a really long tail. I mean, you can't really notice much of a body. They don't have a big chunky front end of the body. They're actually very narrow little things. So they've got quite a long body with all their, that abdomen part is right pushed up towards the head, nice long tail, and that's kind of going to be the key. So again, sort of twice the hook length, so where I'm pinching it now is kind of a good place to tie it in. Alright, so you can kind of see there, that's maybe even a little bit long. I can shorten that a bit.
Tie it in halfway through
Yeah, so exactly. Well, again, depending on the type of hook that you're using, because you want it all to be sort of tied right up to the eye. You don't want to use much of the hook shank for the body. You want it to all be kind of bunched in behind the eye of the hook. All right, so that's a bit better. We've got a nice hook length over there. I'm just going to strap it in, and you can cut off the excess. What we'll do when we come sort of towards the end there, what we're going to do is take a bit of marabou and feed it through that hole and then tie it off, and that's going to be your nice little tail. But for that part over there, that's kind of the gist of it. And we're going to take a little bit of partridge or Hungarian partridge over here. Try to get a nice fluffy feather. You don't need too much of a sort of wing case as such, because it's going to be sort of tied in quite short, so that actually might be quite a nice feather to use.
Hold it up, Dave.
Okay, nice and fluffy, and you're literally going to tie in on the point over there, so you're going to get a lot of those little fibers kind of hanging out. Those aren't your legs, but it's nice to have a little bit of extra movement around there, so it's quite a fluffy little feather. Try and trap in as much of the feathers you can so you get that a nice fluffy look. Those are rolling quite a lot.
Glue down the eye.
Yeah. I've got some, yeah, it's alright. Nice little fluffy bit. You can put a little bit on the underside as well. I'll take that little bit off.
Is that just past the end of the...
It's actually just to the eye. I've just trimmed it off on the eye over there. We're gonna put we're gonna put in the legs and the rest of that just over the front. So we'll turn this under. We can put just a little bit underneath there as well. Another nice little fluffy one. Again, just on the underside. Alright, so nice and sparse. Okay, and then so we got some these nice fine rubber legs. This is shaggy dub. Usually, obviously, you want to kind of match the color of the flower, because you can tie this in different colors. If you can find this Pro Dub yarn in different colors like browns and that kind of stuff, it's not a bad choice to go to. But to be honest, I don't find a need to really change a lot of the colors of damsels particularly. I've never really seen too many other colors other than sort of a light olive and a dark olive. So sort of between that, you can tie them in brown, but I don't know if it makes too much of a difference. Alright, so just nice fine legs. You want to leave the legs nice and long, just for that sort of added movement. These are nice fine legs, so they're gonna wiggle around quite a lot in the water. So when you're fishing this fly static with a little nymph or something like that, it's gonna have a lot of movement with that nice sort of wiggly tail and the marabou and these little wiggly legs. Number of legs doesn't really matter. 2 or 3 each side is plenty. We'll just do 2 for tonight. Try to get them nice and evenly splayed out. Right, so you tied your legs in, and then just a little bit of dubbing. If you want, you can mix like a hare's ear with a bit of like a sparkle dub, that kind of stuff, just to give it a bit of shine, but it's not really all that necessary. This dubbing yarn has got quite a bit of sparkle to it as it is. Just in between those legs, just to help them keep splayed out.
legs do you generally put in there?
I would usually do 3 each side, but like I said, it doesn't really matter all that much. As long as you got some hanging around, moving around quite a bit, the fish aren't going to be able to count, that's for sure.
Well, I find when I shake it up, if you want to do legs more than 2, you just put in like 2 strands. So now you've got 4 legs on each side. You can just cut one.
Just cut them off. Yeah.
Don't lose me when you're doing it up.
Alright, and then just build up a little bit of a head with the thread and the yarn. And that's basically that. That's the gist of the fly. We'll finish off. So it's a quick and easy fly. What you can do is, prep a whole bunch like this and tie in a whole bunch like this before you get to the sort of the finicky part, which is putting the marabou through that little loop at the end there. But like you can see, for the most part, I might have even left this little Hungarian partridge a little bit long. You can actually even maybe put that in a little bit shorter and get a nice short fat body in the front, right behind the eyes. So like you saw earlier, the whole tie off point was right behind the eyes. Everything is there right on the eye. So you use a nice short shank hook, get it nice and tight. The eyes are nice and close to the eye of the hook, and your legs splayed out. That sort of length is going to be good for those legs. Don't leave them too short. Leave them nice and long like that, so that when you are just sort of dead fishing the fly, sort of static, it's going to be quite a lot of movement around. That's going to get you a lot of strikes. Okay, now for the finicky bit. So you've twisted your tail, and you've got that little loop in the back there.
The loop stays open, does it?
It will, yeah. I mean, if it does go a little bit tight, you can just open it up. I mean, you're not going to tighten that thread up so much that you're not going to have too much of a loop. There's always going to be something there. Right, your feather doesn't matter too much because you're literally going to use a tiny little bit off the tip of it. You want these nice long wispy bits. Back there's a nice little bit. That's fine. That'll do. And you don't need much at all. You can see the size of the fly tied in proportion to what you have on the fly. So like that's going to be good. And once it's in, the nice thing about marabou is you can always pinch it and break it to get an even spread of the thing. So you don't need too much, just a little bit like that. And then the easy way to make your life, a way to make your life easier when working with marabou is just wet it. It might not look pretty once it's on the fly, but it's gonna, once it's in the water, it's gonna come alive. But once it's wet, it's a lot easier to work with rather than having all these little bits floating around. Alright, so what I usually do is I've got a nice little hook on my whip finishing tool, and you can use that to try and help you get it through. Usually I take it out of the vise. I'll see if I can try to get it in here. Let's see if this works.
Shakes.
Cool. Get in there. Oh, got one.
1.5 that.
Yeah, so if you can make like a little tool that you can. Actually, that actually might even work there. Alright, so you got it through. I'm going to fold it over. So obviously I'm going to sort of trim this down now, but you've got it through. Now the trick is to keep it in there, and you're just going to tie it off with a bit of thread.
So have you doubled it over, Dave?
No, so it's just once through,
Yeah.
but obviously once I tie it in, it's going to be doubled over, if that makes sense. So the amount of so if you take that much in, you're going to get double. You're going to get double that, because I'm going to put it through, fold it over, and then tie it off. So you're going to have kind of that much, and then you just trim it to the right. If that part was hard, this part's even harder.
Yeah. Keep the tension in it.
Yeah.
This is where you really learn your pinch.
You really need a tube attachment.
Easier just to cut it off, and then just a couple of half hitches is fine, because you're going to just put a little drop of super glue on there anyway, just to strengthen it.
I'm getting used to tying smaller than an 8.
You'll be. It's taking its while time. Try to tie a size 16 though. That will. What? Okay, so I've just done a couple of half hitches with the thread. Need new scissors. And it's all come out. Shit.
Sudsville. Murphy's at work.
Yeah, I'm just going to tie it over the top.
Yeah, big it top.
Yeah.
Straight up.
So you need 3 hands.
Yeah.
You didn't use your bottle, you're right. You could use take this in there and then you lay the
Okay.
over it. No, twist it. Yes. Thread it through, twist it round then, and then you put this in, and then it's fold it, and then tight. And then you push it as if you cheat like this, and then you pull that out of this. Yeah. Maybe put the super glue on and then put it on. You know me, you put the super glue on. Not only is my fingers respect, so are my fingers. My fingers are stuck automatically, but super glue, 10 fingers will stick together. Standard practice.
Alright, I'm not going to go through the whole loop situation again. I'll just tie it on.
how long do you make that tail, okay?
Which tail? The
The
marabou, the tail,
body section.
the body section, like
Before the marabou.
about two rod lengths, two hook shank lengths of the fly. I'm just gonna drop a.
The fifth time is whatever the bloody length.
Yeah.
I'm goodness weird playing around with this thing is you braid braid into it.
Yeah. It'll be stiffer. Yeah.
So I was saying, hook and a tail. And have a slightly weighted body and use the braid that you twist into the body.
That option of
What
course
is new?
is to tie that.
Yeah, and then you spin it back in a little.
Little stinger.
The tie that twisted bit around your dubbing needle. That's stiff. Then people start to when you finish pull the dubbing needle out.
Yeah, I was saying,
Mine
change
is
it off
something
so
else.
there's no hook in the front anymore. So you tie it on like a little sheet,
Okay.
or tie it onto a shank and clip on the hook,
Yes.
and then tie the tail on the back.
Once
and
it's on, then you pull it
when you spin the body,
around.
add a piece of dacron into it. So you spin it with.
Okay. So
You attach the dacron, you attach
So it
a
won't be stiff.
stinger into the tail.
Yeah.
You play with it.
Another option of course is
Wonder how to make it swim.
other option of course is to just on that tail put some Viagra.
Yeah. Have you got some for us?
The learning about it is
Yeah.
depth of knowledge.
All right, guys. So I just did a bit of a shortcut there. I just, instead of going through the loop, obviously it pulled out. I just wrapped one or two little thread wraps around, and then just dropped a little bit of super glue on there, which you would have done anyway. It looks a little bit untidy now, but once that marabou dries out, it's going to get nice and big in the water, and that's basically that. All right, that's basically the fly, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Good to go.
Okay.
I'll put the original one back in there. It looks a lot neater.
That's right. Don't need three of them.